So, good morning. Well, actually, good afternoon. I've been here since the morning, but we're officially we're officially in the afternoon. We are 1 p.m. and it is the Glow Wellness Summit. It's a virtual summit. We've been holding it since yesterday, Saturday. We had four amazing speakers yesterday, and we had two amazing speakers this morning, and we're on to our last two. And today at 1 o'clock, we're going to be speaking with Catherine Paquette on human design and astrology. And so this wellness summit is basically a moment to tap in because it is the hunter moon, and the hunter moon is the time of the year where the hunters went out to gather their food and their tools and their equipment that they needed to really make it through and survive through the winter and colder months. And so I thought that this summit was a perfect time to reflect on the tools that the holistic wellness industry has to offer. There's so many tools out there. Some people know some of them, some people are not familiar at all, some are experts, but some can learn always new tips and tricks as well. So this summit is to give you a bit of an idea of what's out there and things that can help you to find inner balance and help you get through these darker months ahead. So at 1 p.m. today, which is now, we will be talking with Catherine Paquette. And so she is, I'm going to tell you what she is. She's a self-discovery coach and astrology and human design professional. So Catherine Paquette is a digital marketer and personal branding expert, and she's turned self-discovery coach who blends astrology and human design for success. And her mission is to help you to tap into your highest potential and purpose and a path aligned with your authentic self. So I love human design. I love astrology. This is going to be a great topic. And so I'll introduce you to Catherine, and I'll also ask you, Catherine, if you could give us a brief overview of human design and how that differs from astrology.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me, Susan. This is such a beautiful, beautiful event. I feel very honored to be part of these 2 days. So, very good question. A lot of people have a hard time. One, human design is very young. So I have to add that we have to remember that astrology is thousands year old, and we're talking about human design, which is a baby, only 37-year old. So this is still an experiment. So on a scientific point of view, human design is not yet proven. It is still an experiment. So what I like to tell people is that human design is your human experience. It's it's to say that you will prove to yourself this system through living it in your day-to-day. So human design was brought up by Ra Uruhu, and what he did is that he took different systems. So astrology is one of them. So it's like a synthesis. So he took astrology, he took the Chinese I Ching, he took the tree of the Kabbalah, he took the Hindu chakra system, and he took quantum physics and he put them together. So if you think about it, it's almost if he thought of the whole world and he was like, let me bring all of these beautiful ways of thinking and putting them into one. So astrology is well, human design is like astrology 2.0 if you think about it, because it is based on astrology. So a lot of people mistaken, they think they're very different, but they are. Like, human design comes from astrology. So we have to pay honor to astrology, because human design wouldn't be there if it wasn't for astrology. Though one thing that's really distinctive between the two is that human design is more so telling us, I don't want to predict anything, right? Because astrology could be very predictive. I could look into your chart, I could tell you how many marriages you're going to have, how many babies. So astrology does that, but human design is more like, I want you to live it. I want you to use it as a tool in your day to day. and you make an idea about what you think about human design. I'm not here to tell you what's going to happen. I'm here to help you make aligned decisions. So that's pretty much the big difference between the two.
Yeah, but I do find there's a lot of accuracy
Yes.
because the systems that he took to combine that global into human design are all systems that have their values, and so it's like it is based, I find, on reality, let's say, realistic purposes that I can certainly personally use and reflect from.
And that's really well said. And I actually say this a lot. I say that, and the way I use it in my work, I use astrology more for the feminine energy of it and more of the woo side of it. And then human design for me is more a practical and more masculine energy that I can work with on a day to day. So I feel like just that helps people being like, okay, I understand how I can use both of them together or not, or choose one or the other.
Well, we are all masculine and feminine energy anyways, right? As humans, we are that combination. Some feminine people feel like they have more masculine energy within themselves, and some masculines feel like they have more feminine energy within themselves, and finding balance in that too. And so using these two modalities in order to combine those energies just also opens up the bigger picture.
Yes, exactly. That's why I love working with both. I feel like there's so much that I love about astrology. Like the houses, you're not going to get the houses in human design. So working with both makes it really fun. It makes it a little bit more diverse, and you can be a skeptic and test what works from one system to the other. I always say take what really speaks to you. The rest, forget about it. Yeah.
Well, I've loved your sessions you held here. They were extremely informative because it's quite complex actually. The well, both systems I find are complex. A lot of people just know the upper level of astrology, like they know their birth sign and they can maybe speak a little bit towards their birth sign, like I know I'm a Virgo and I know the characteristics, the basic characteristics. But then even in astrology, there's so many more. Like there's your moon and your sun and your ascendant and all of the other levels, and that gets complex. And then human design is also in with other like channels and what's opened and what's closed, and so there's quite deep levels of understanding towards getting to know what those two can even mean to you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's why I love to just like give a little bit of the basics, and then it helps people understand a little bit more. And then if you really want to dive, you can take the time or you can go to a professional to really understand it, because I can see how it can get overwhelming to see all of it. And you're like, how do I decrypt this information? So definitely you have to take it little by little.
Yeah, but even those little, like when you do zone in on little chunks, those little chunks are so eye-opening for your character, I find. It's sort of like, whoa, okay, now I understand why I do that more. It's actually it's an innate thing. I was born at a specific time in a specific season in a specific city, and all that is within my personality.
Exactly. I feel like we tend to forget how amazing and unique we are. And that's exactly what human design and astrology says. It's like you chose to come to this earth, this specific date, in this specific country, at this specific time for a reason. Even if you are a premature baby, you still chose to come at that specific time. So, what does that imprint tell us about you? So, pretty much, if there was two words that I would forever use for these tools, is say, that these are tools for self-awareness and self-acceptance. That's it. It's really like, how can I fall in love with myself again? And that's how these two tools came to my life. It was like, I didn't love myself anymore. I forgot who I was. I was just so blinded by the hecticness of life that brought me back to who I am. So I really hope that for people listening, that it can help someone with falling back in love with themselves. Yeah.
Yes, it's true because we forget who we are, through experiences of life and seeing what other people are doing and judging ourselves versus what, you see someone else and you're always thinking, "Oh, why are they doing, better than me?" Or like so we have a lot of self-doubt and judgment, and these tools help us to just clarify things and acceptance is
Yeah.
huge. Once you accept, you can move forward.
Exactly. We all have our part to play in this big scheme of things. So why would you want to be someone else? Because you're here to bring a specific part of this whole journey. So we really have to remember how special we are and try to dig, and it's a lifelong thing to discover what we're here for and our greater purpose, but it's still like a journey and a mystery to get to know ourselves a little bit more. So these are just tools to get to know ourselves more.
Mm. So, how can understanding your human design and astrological chart support someone dealing with burnout? Because this is a summit a bit about burnout to brilliance. So, how can it support the idea of maybe someone who's in a state of burnout?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, burnout, first of all, is a theme that you will hear a lot about in human design specifically. So, in human design, we will say that you have your signature and you have your not self. So, it's almost saying like, are you living from the higher vibration or the lower vibration? So, for me, burnout is a low vibration of your design. So, depending on what type each individual is, knowing your energy type allows you to start listening for the cues. So, for example, if you're a manifester and you start feeling really angry, you're like, why is this not working? Why does she have this? Why does, you start feeling that anger within. Those are all red flags. Those are all red flags. And those little feelings within should be little cues that we start to be more self-aware of. So the second we see them, we can start understanding I have to start shifting my behavior. So for me, human design is a way to start aligning yourself with your signature. So for a manifester, if you're feeling angry, the other side of that metal is actually feeling peace. So manifestors are here to have the freedom to be who they are. So they must have that liberty to do what they want. So if they're feeling restrained and they're feeling controlled, then burnout can come super easily because they don't have the freedom. So how can I start changing my life a little bit to have more freedom? If it doesn't come in work, then can I have more freedom in what I'm eating, how I'm eating, when I'm eating, where I'm working out, when I'm working out. So you start using your strategy and you start using your authority. These are all themes in human design. The more you do it, the more you start to align with yourself and the more you elevate in your vibration and the less chances you go through burnout. So I can really give you like an example of my own life. I'm a generator, and this will apply to anyone that's a manifesting generator or a generator. So I felt,
Prior to telling
yes,
yours, can you just tell us the actual names of the like because you talked about manifestor, manifesting generator, generator. So how many categories are there? Just so we understand where you fall in your story.
good question. So there's 5 energy types. So I spoke of manifestor, so that's one. Then you have generator, that's two. The third is manifesting generator, which is like a hybrid of the two first. And then the fourth is projector. And the last, if I ever get to meet a reflector, that would be a blessing. It's only 1% of the whole population that's a reflector. So we have 5 types. So my first example is only speaking to people that have manifestors on their charts. If you are either a generator or a manifesting generator, then you might relate to my story. So if you're either or of these types, we're meant to be so excited about what we do in life and so lit up and so satisfied. You see that word satisfied? So anyone that has generator in their title is life force. So the creator of human design always said, if every generator in this world was doing their passion and working in something that they love, this world would be a better place. So, our job as generators and manifesting generators is to find work that really speaks to our soul. So, for example, I remember being in the corporate world and just feeling so drained and like not feeling like my cup was being filled. And that brought me so much frustration because I felt like I was doing, but I was so stuck. So those are words that you're going to hear manifesting generators and generators use words like I feel stuck, I feel frustrated, I feel like I'm doing so much, but nothing is happening. Those are your red flags. The second you start using those words, take a step back and look at your life. What can you start adding in your life that feels so exciting to you? Like what lights you up? What can you try tomorrow to see if it sticks and it works and you love it? And there's two specific paths for these two types. So if you're a generator, you're literally meant to find one thing and geek out so much about it and love it so much that you become a master at your craft. So every time I feel stuck, I know I'm like, Kat, you have to learn something more. You have to go grab more books. You have to listen to more podcasts. You need to study a little bit more. You need to take more action. That's for me. Manifesting generators, very different. These are like the multitaskers and the multi-passionates. So for them, it's more like, what do I have on my plate right now that I absolutely love? I have to do more of that. What do I want to add onto my plate, but everyone is telling me not to do it? I should go do that. And what on my plate right now is actually draining me and makes me feel frustrated? Remove it from your plate. Like manifesting generator have this capacity to learn so quickly that they were given almost like the grace to being like, I feel like I've learned what I had to learn. I will give up on this opportunity. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. They have that grace. They are meant to get into something, learn whatever they had to learn, and leave and start something new. Like, that's what they're meant to do. They're meant to come in, come out, come in, come out. They're going to have a lot of different seasons in their life, which is not, it could feel difficult, but if you speak to a manifesting generator, they are the ones that are going to tell you, I'm doing like four things at the same time right now, and I'm loving it. Like that's what they're meant to do. Their battery is just infinite. They really like every time I hear a manifesting generator, I'm like, ooh, I feel like exhausted for them, but they're loving it. So I'm like, good for you. I'm happy in my generator little corner, so I'm fine here. So that's one thing. And then for my projectors, wow, these are guides. They might feel burnt out if they feel like no one is listening because they're here to improve things. So if no one is listening, why can't they see this? They're not doing it the right way. The universe is telling them, go help, go improve, speak up, go do something, serve the world. The more you do it, the more you'll be successful. And that's their high vibration. So you remember how generators, it's satisfaction, them, it's success. So very different. They're meant to be obsessed with success. And a lot of projectors, if you speak to them, they will use words like, I feel really bad to really want to succeed and make a lot of money. And I'm like, no, no, no. You are designed to be obsessed with that success. I'm obsessed with the feeling of satisfaction and excitement. Them, it's really specifically success. Very, very different. And we might have a 1% listening. So reflectors, very different. They have all open centers. So they're like the sponges of the human design. And they're meant to have such an exciting life. So if they're feeling disappointment right now, low vibration, which could bring to burnout, when they feel like life is not flowing and not exciting and surprising. They're meant at their high vibration to be in surprise. So they're meant to, like, let's say, be at the gym and think that they're going to do yoga and like they have a spur of a moment and they want to do weight training. Let's go. Go for it. They're really meant to just like flow and respond to whatever comes because they're taking in the energy from everyone around. So those are, you see how crazy we can start just lifting the little flags of these cues that are telling us, whoa, okay, I might be in my not self right now. What can I start doing to help me move towards my higher vibration? And you can do that through what I just shared, but you can also learn about your strategy and your authority. These are two other concepts in human design, but two very powerful concepts that can help you make decisions, move on the right path. And doing so, you will slowly step out of burnout because you are starting to move into alignment.
That's amazing. I'm so fascinated with astrology and human design. My brain has no capacity to retain it the way, but the to know about it and rehear, like I feel like I need to hear it over and over and over and over again, to have it all sink in. So, oh, it's so fascinating to me. Yeah, and you retain all of the information, so it certainly is your passion. And when you say like you're a generator or you're a generator,
Generator.
that you have to like go and learn more and learn more and know more and know more, get more books and keep studying. I feel like you're like the encyclopedia for human design and astrology because it's all retained as knowledge for you.
Thank you so much. And honestly, it feels almost like when you don't try and it just happens for you and you just retain things very quickly. So I really want to tell people if there's something that comes through really easily, then you know that something is aligned for you. Life shouldn't be difficult. There should be ease in life.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it certainly does come naturally for you. So, so are there any aspects of human design or astrology that might be helpful for self-reflection as we enter this new season? Like that we are in the hunter moon, and like I'm sure moons have a lot to do with the astrology. And so can you speak a little bit about this particular hunter moon season that we're in right now?
Yes, very good question. So first of all, this was a full moon in Aries. So just there, every time you hear full moon in, and then someone says the sign that we're in, go in your chart and look at where it is positioned in your chart. So every chart looks like in astrology, it looks like a pie. So there's 10 pieces of pies. Well, actually 12, sorry, 12 pieces of pies. So where does Aries fall into your chart? That's going to give you a little bit of the flavor of what's coming up for you. And you might even notice what challenges or what chapters are being completed, what are themes that you're seeing in your life. So if it's in house one, you're going to start seeing themes like your self-identity, your physicality, your person. The house one is the self. Or is it house two? And then you're having more questions about your values and you're being really confronted with what you possess. Because house two is all about our living. So, what do you do to make money on your own? So, it's the independence, it's the self that's able to work and make money for the self. So, that could be a theme that's coming up for you right now. Or is it house three? House three is all about communication. It's the thinking mind. So maybe that's something that you're going to have to work on and something that you can be aware of to start and prepare. That's what I love about astrology. It's preparing you for whatever could come. House four is all about the family, your roots. So are you going to start noticing you questioning your home? Am I okay here? Do I want to move? Am I good? How is my relationship with my family? That's house four. House 5 is very different. It's all about creation, creativity. So are you being challenged with that? Or maybe are you about to start a new project? Are you about to birth something? It's the house of kids, but it's also the house of creation, any creation, a business, a project. And then house 6 is the balance between our work life and our personal life. So that's like, are you being challenged at work? Are you maybe wanting to have new habits to balance that out? Are you being called to have better systems? That could be a house 6 theme. If Aries falls in 7, then it's all about your relationships, the one-on-one relationships. Then house 8 is more of the underground and other people's resources. So remember how house 2 is about the how I use my resources and how I do income. House 8 is the other way around. Are you being called to merge forces with someone? Maybe. Is there a theme of transformation for you that's coming because it's the house of rebirth? So maybe you're on the brink of transforming and growing. House 9 is all about your spirituality, but in your belief system. So what in your belief system right now is being challenged? What are you facing? Or maybe you're about to travel because it's the house of foreign travel. So that could be really cool. House 10 is your career. And house 11 is all about the networks. It's also about social media. So me, is in house 11, and I'm feeling that I'm being challenged with social media and trying to find my place there. So I know that that's a theme that I'm going to be working on in the next, in the next weeks. And the last house is all about the isolation. It's about spirituality, but in a very, very beautiful and very serene and alone part of yourself. So maybe you're being called to meditate more. Maybe you're being called to do more of these types of events and really self-reflect. So this, what I just shared, these 12 houses, it applies to anything. So what I do when I come into new seasons, I look at my transits and I look at where the planets are playing in my pie. And all that I shared right now applies to any transit. So you can look at like, okay, I'm wanting to go on a trip on this weekend. Let me check my chart. What does it look like? What's appearing in my chart? We forget that online is there to help us navigate certain things. So I'm giving you part of the information, then you can go really deep and look at what's in the house, what are the relationship between the planets. You can do all of that through Google, and I find that that's one of the most powerful ways to understand trends, like our life seasons, is true through those transits. Um, and the moon is such a beautiful way to do it too. You really like you started it the perfect way because they all have a theme. We just don't know what part is like linked to our own life. Because it's one thing to be told, okay, guys, there's a full moon this date. But what does it mean for Susan? What does it mean for Catherine? We don't have the same chart. Your Aries doesn't fall at the same place as me, and I might have a planet that you don't. And then those are two different experiences. Those are two different ways to prepare and to be a little bit more mindful and maybe give yourself a little bit of awareness if right now you feel clouded. Seeing it might really speak to a part of you, and then you can start working with it. That's the beauty. How can we start working with our charts to make our life a little bit more easier, right? That's the beauty of it. We want these little tools to make it just a little bit easier. The human experience is already super complex, and it can be very hard and lonely at times. So I feel like my chart is almost like my friend, and I'm like navigating life with it. And I'm like, okay, how can you help me today? I feel really crappy. What does it mean? Like, what can I do? So those are beautiful tools to self-reflect and see where you're at in your life right now. I feel that for me is my way.
That's, I mean, I love it. And there's, I'm gonna go and check my chart.
You have to write to
I'm
me
gonna go
after.
and check, definitely check my chart and see where it's Aries, right?
Yeah.
Where Aries falls,
Yeah.
because that was like, okay, I need to go dive a little bit deeper and understand that, because for sure we live in seasons, and we live, and each month, each season, it has its own energy, like winter doesn't happen in September for us, winter happens in December, January, February, like, so the universe knows when winter is here in Canada, and so the chart just sort of identifies better what is happening month to month, and so to say that it's in Aries, and then you go and just check it and say, okay, this is what's happening this month, and this is why. It's like, oh, it's my relationship, or it's my house, or it's my finances, or it just adds another level of thought, clarity, and something to work with, like something to reflect on. And then if you need more information, then call you and say, okay, please dive deeper into this for me, because sometimes you really, really feel that energy is extremely powerful in that moment, and you need more clarity and more understanding, and then you can help us dive deeper into that.
Exactly. And there's so many layers because the first layer is the houses, then you have the signs, but then you have the planets. And what does each planet mean? And what are their relationship? And is the relationship positive or is the relationship negative per se? I always find positivity in everything, and there's always light in everything. But it is very important to, yeah, if you don't have someone that can help you with that, either take the time to understand it or go to a professional, and then you're able to really get deeper and really, really granular. We can go really granular in a chart. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the dark is just as important as the light, right? Because even in our world, we have day and we have night. We don't have 24 hours of day or 24 hours of dark. So both of them play a very important role for us to understand. So to understand our shadows, we all have shadows, we all live with shadows. So how can you see your shadow and then work through your shadow? And so I think the dark is not always a dark. It's learning again to understand another level, so that we can shift sometimes when you feel those shadows showing up. How can you get to the lighter side of those shadows? Yeah.
So well said.
Yeah. Wow. So can people explore their own chart, because sometimes I open up those charts and I'm like, I don't understand all these pies and numbers and dots and circles, and I'm like, I feel like I need a master's degree just to like look at my chart. So can people like, is there a way to understand the charts a little bit themselves?
Yeah, very good question. I feel like astroseek.com, so astro-seek is one of my favorite websites to go for reference because you might be overwhelmed at first because you put in your information, then you have this pie, but there's so many lines, your brain just doesn't want to understand it. It's just too overwhelming. If you scroll, AstroSeek will actually give you all of the detail, like all that I'm saying right now. It will be able to give you specifically what relationship do your planets have? So, do you have more challenging aspects or do you have more positive aspects? What does that mean for you? So, if you go through a website like that, you're going to get the information. And you can also look at your transit. So, you can really type into AstroSeek and look for your transit charts, and they're going to be able to at least put the basic information of what the system understands of your chart, so you can start working with it a little bit more. So if you know that for example, your Mercury today is trining your Mars. So you're like, what does that mean? They're going to have a first layer of understanding of what it means. Then if you're really interested, you can actually go and break it down. So Mercury is about communication and about speaking. Trining is almost like giving you a gift. And then you have another layer, you have Mars that's taking action. So it's almost telling you, okay, if I put all of these together, where in my life am I meant to take action and speak up? And knowing that I'm going to be supported because of the triangle. And every time, so as you said just before, we do have shadows and we do have light. What I really am passionate about in my work is that I find that we tend to be made scared of certain aspects of our chart. For example, I remember the first time I got a reading was with my sister, and she was told that she was going to have a lot of challenges in her life. And I was born under a beautiful star. So for two sisters that are very close in age to be told that is so traumatizing. It's like, why did she get the easy lifetime? Like, why do I have the challenges? So that's where I was saying I'm trying to find positivity in everything because I looked at her chart now as an astrologer and I was like, okay, no, no, no. This is why you were told this, but it's more like when you learn to know these challenging parts of your chart, how can you actually make them into your gifts? So, actually, someone that has more challenging aspects in their chart tends to go further in life. Why? Because they feel resistance and they feel hunger. What I'm missing in my chart is fire. So, what that makes someone that has a beautiful chart with not a lot of aspects, she could be more of a procrastinator. She could be someone that doesn't take action enough. So, those are things that I have to work against. So that's where I'm saying that we do have our shadows, but we have to learn to work with them and make them our greatest gifts. So astroseek.com is a really beautiful first layer. And if you're really geeky, you can do it on your own and self-study. You can use ChatGPT. Honestly, there's so many ways you can just go in there and being like, my sun is trining the moon. What does that mean? It's going to give you an answer. It's not going to be, it's not going to have the flavor of an astrologer that could give you something more of a whole story, but you can start working with it. You don't need to be too overwhelmed. You can take one part at a time. You can do like the first steps of what you look at, and then slowly but surely you get to know your chart a little bit more.
Yeah, so you make a very good point, and I guess I just want to point this out too, is that you have to be careful with what you're reading and what you're seeing in your chart, because like what you said with you and your sister, she could have been traumatized, and that when you hear things like that, they stick in your mind. So then you're living your life thinking, she's got it easy, and I'm going to suffer. So even when you're a young child, it's a memory, and so that's it sticks with us. And so then as you go through life, you're like, well, I remember she told me I'm going to have a tough life, so I'm going to have a tough life. And you start to program yourself to actually believe that your life is going to be easy, my life is going to be tough. So you have to be very prudent with what you receive as information, from who you receive the information, and then how you process that information so that you're not just using it black or white, good or bad. Or so, like for you, I mean, that's another aspect that I love about you, and the way you look at the charts and interpret this information, is that you're not just interpreting it on that one surface level that's going to stick with somebody as an idea. Like your sister may have had that thought, until you became an astrologer and changed her mind about it, or pointed out another side to the story.
Exactly. I'm so passionate about that specific topic because my training is actually trauma based. So my training in astrology is a trauma based program that allowed me to have that sensitivity of how am I going to communicate to my client these aspects that I see could be tough, but how can she work with it? And just, I'm a really good example. Okay, maybe from an astrology point of view, my chart is pretty rose and doesn't have that many aspects. but I have the channel of struggle in human design. And I remember reading on it at first in one book, and I was like, why do I have it? I don't want the challenges and I don't want the struggle channel. What does that mean? But today, that's one of my favorite channels because I know now that that's the specific part of me that makes me go against the procrastination because I'm ready to go against any challenge because I don't see struggle as something negative. I see it as a blessing. I see it as a way to improve. So if anyone has the struggle channel, I am a proof that you are not doomed. You are fine. Your life will be beautiful if you learn to work with it and know that you actually have a gift to see what should be improved. And you have a gift to not see failure as something that's so gloomy and bad. You see it as a lesson and you're looking for the treasure in things. That's the struggle channel. So I almost want to like write a book and change all the names because I don't like the fact that it's called that way, but we
I
learn with
think
it.
that's a great idea. You should write a book and change all the names and redefine some of those terms, to the just the brighter side of it all. Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna wait for that book to come out. That's the first book I'll buy from you.
It was sweet.
So, do you have anything else you'd like to share in regards to this particular topic, in regards to like the burnout to brilliance? Are there any tips that you'd like to share with the community to let them
Yeah,
know?
I would love to share one theme that I feel could really resonate with a lot of people, especially with this theme. And it does apply to astrology in human design, which is bonkers. But your sun and your earth sign is what I really want to start putting light on because so in astrology, obviously, we all know our sun sign. Most people know their sun sign. You'll know it with your month. So you don't even need to know your like hour of birth. Um, our sun is how we express ourselves. So that's really how we want to show up in our best way in the world. So that can help you maybe go towards a higher vibration self and being less into the low vibration burnout part of yourself. So how can I bring more of that sun into my life? And in human design, you remember we all have a profile. So some it's going to be like 3-5, 2-4. These two numbers, if you look at them, the first one is your sun and the second one is your earth. So the same way you can look at your first number as what should I do right now to be more out there, to bring my gifts out into the world? What part of me is just wanting to come out, but I'm not letting that part of me shine? That's the sun, right? Shining, being seen, it's your vitality. So, what are you not using enough to bring that vitality? So, if you're in burnout right now, what part of you needs to be lit up to feel like you're alive again? Because it's tough to be in such a state. And then the other way around is so much grounder. The earth sign is just the opposite sign. If we think of astrology, it's the opposite sign of your sun sign. For example, I'm a Pisces. If you look at a pie, so the astrological pie, you just have to look at your sun sign and see what sign is inversed. So if you're a Pisces sun like me, your earth sign would be Virgo. So I love to see it this way. What do I need to start using within me to feel more grounded, to feel more like I can support my Pisces being not at an extreme? How can I balance both energies? So Pisces can be very dreamer, very like in her spirituality, up there. And then Virgo is like, no, come back to earth, come back to earth, put systems, put routines, have habits, and you're going to get to where you want. So I feel like working with your sun, but with your opposite sign, which is your earth sign, you start understanding what do I need as an individual to feel grounded, to feel in my center. Because when you look at your pie, you are the middle. You are the little circle in the middle. So you want to stay strong in the middle while you're playing with each side. So the same goes with human design. Your second number is what you need to feel grounded, is what you need to have in place, is what you need as a foundation so your second number can shine through. So, what part of you is not feeling safe enough right now? And if you're like me, for example, you have the five, then okay, 3, 5, I need to bring the three, which is experiences, being out there. But the five is telling me, don't do it just to live, do it to serve. The five is about finding these embodied solutions. So it's more like, am I not feeling safe enough right now to being able to serve? If you have a five and you don't relate to what I just said, what part of you doesn't feel safe enough to be able to serve? What part of you needs to come out first? Your first number. So if you're like me, a 3, then you know that before feeling safe to serve, I have to go experience life. I need lessons. I need to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk. I need to do things to be able before serving. So, though, for me, that topic, just that, can change your whole perspective, can change your life because you start understanding how like what part of me is meant to really shine and what part of me is not safe enough or what part of me needs to be in place so I'm grounded in being able to express the first number. So those that specific topic I feel like speaks really well to a topic like burnout because I feel like maybe they're out of whack or they're not even aware that they have these parts of them within them, which is the part that saddens me the most but also excites me the most when I see that in a client they're not at all aligned with their human design or their astrology. For me that just means that there's parts of you that are just wanting to come out but you're not aware of them yet. So it's just like don't be discouraged, just take it one bit by bit, just slowly but surely. Do it with the basics, and then you're gonna get to a point where you really get to understand who you truly are.
Oh my God, I'm taking my appointment with you. Like as I
So
hate to shut this down, I'm calling you up and we're reviewing my chart in much more depth than I even already know.
you're so sweet. Oh, I love these topics. I could speak upon this forever.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, this was definitely amazing. And so how can people go about working with you and finding you? And I can add it in the chat here, the contact for you.
So people can find me either on, I love talking one-to-one with people on Instagram. So you can literally DM me, follow me, see what I'm all about. My links are there. So my website, catherinepaquette.com. Those are the two ways. Instagram is Hey It's Cat P. So CATH. Hey, it's Cat P. That's my Instagram handle. I love to have conversations with my community. So those would be the two best way to contact me. Yeah.
So nice. And I know that for those that have signed up to this summit, there's some special treats that you're offering for them as well, some discounts and
First ever discount for your community.
oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, they're gonna be so happy to get all that information from you and they're lucky to receive that discount. I hope I can use it too.
Definitely, definitely. You are part of the community.
So funny. But I love this topic as well. I could go on and on and on, and obviously, I would love to dive deeper into my own personal information. But it was such a good, nice global understanding and how people can work with those tools as well. Because if you're in burnout, you're just not in balance, and so once you find out why you're maybe working out of balance, you can tweak some of those and then try to work towards more balance and more brilliance. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow, so well said. I'm so grateful to have been here, talk about the topic. I really, I find it so valuable what you're offering to your community right now. So very, very blessed to have been part of such a beautiful summit. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, and hope to see you back in our studio
Mhm.
again because I know that our community loved your workshops.
Oh,
So
I had so much fun. I had so much fun.
yeah. Oh, thank you so much,
Thank
Catherine.
you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.